we're live. Let's check on the laptop if we're live. Yes.
Slow wave again.
I know. And the audience have arrived. The exclusive live stream audience have arrived. If you have any questions, please submit them. It says we're having trouble playing this video.
Oh, that's not good.
Comment if you can see us. Okay, we're definitely there. I don't want to look too much at that. That's weird.
Yeah.
So,
there's also a delay.
A really big delay. I'm used to that by now. That's why when you realise that no one's applauding you because you haven't finished the song yet. In their ears. Don't look at it.
It's about 30 seconds behind, so it's just waving at us.
It looks like Ellie's watching. Hi Ellie, thank you for
Hi,
watching.
Hi.
So now we're going to be super professional and say, I'm Anna Hester, and you know that because this is my page. And would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Alice Cromwell. I made the video with Kate, my sister, for A-Line. And I am Kate. And I made the video with my sister. And I sometimes do graphics for Anna.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've tried to structure this through sort of picking some questions and answering them. Some of which has been sent in, and some of which are just things I think we could talk about. Comments, how exciting! Hi! If you have a question, Ellie, please comment below. Yeah, so go for it, Alice. Choose a question.
This one. How do you hope/plan to collaborate in the future?
Ooh.
Good question.
I mean, that's more like, what do I hope?
Yeah.
What might you agree to? Well, I think that I'm not wrong in saying Kate and I have already talked about more graphic design stuff for the album. So both my EPs, Kate basically did all of the difficult work. So the photos...
Sophia did all of the difficult work.
Everyone but me did difficult work. So the most recent EP, as you point out, I had photos by Sophia Wilde, who is a fantastic photographer, who I'm doing another shoot with in a couple of weeks' time. And so then Kate did the layout, the text, the really nice stuff. If you've seen the CD copy, in the middle there's the kind of film strip thing, which I really like.
That was lovely.
And so yeah, I think for the album it'll be another Kate-Sophia collaboration, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
And posters maybe? We'll see how, It's like during lockdown I've taken advantage of the fact these guys haven't had as much else to do. But I appreciate that they have futures and other career opportunities. Yeah, and then in terms of, I mean, I'd really like to release another single. So again, it's totally your availability, Alice, but I think another music video at some point would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd love to. And at the moment, I'm totally free, so I would really love to. Three. I feel like three is a good number to aim for.
Power of three, exactly. And the thing about the video for A-Line, the stop motion, which if you haven't watched, you must go and watch, is it just showed what you can do without hiring a space or actors or budget or whatever.
Most locked down state.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I didn't do the hard work, but I was very impressed by it. And what I liked is that I still felt really involved because you always come back to me and you know, check things and do the storyboarding and all of that kind of thing. So
that is one of the things I enjoy about working with you, and why I keep coming back to do your covers, is because there's always an element of collaboration. It's not like, oh, I would like this.
It's a nice way of saying I'm a control freak.
No. But there's something about working with other artists, even if it's in different fields, where you just get this sort of coming together of different ideas and different styles, and it always makes something just a little bit more alive than perhaps, otherwise, and it becomes your thing as well. Which I know it is anyway, but like I feel like you get to have that vision, hopefully, realised.
Yeah, because I guess with graphic design sometimes it's more pragmatic. You've done stuff for, I don't know, publications where it's more, I don't know, tell me about how it's different.
Usually the work that I do is very much like we have an endpoint that we need to have, advertising or, as you said, publishing, or even products and things that I've done in the past, and it's always like, it's got to meet this criteria, and anything above that is usually too expensive or, too wild for corporate stuff. So yeah, working with artists, so like I enjoy doing work with you, and I enjoy doing work with any Edinburgh Fringe people because they're always good fun and they're willing to put themselves into it in a way that doesn't happen when you're working with a company.
Yeah.
And when it's an individual, there's a lot more behind it and a lot more passion.
Yeah.
And that's much easier to get stuck into and find something interesting to pull out of.
So if anyone's watching who's a comedian or the Edinburgh Fringe, well, I feel like both of you have got experience there in terms of posters or promo. Or did you film Tom GK's Fringe show recently?
I did, yeah, for the online Fringe, just the tonic. If you're interested, that was really hard as well because I knew the show so well because I'd done the tech for it in the past, and I've already pre-recorded some elements of it, and I've recorded the show as it's done live. And so then trying to make it into something like cohesive for that was interesting. Not something that I've done before, but it was really fun. And again, there was a bit of a musical element.
Yeah.
But I really thank you for letting me do music videos with you because it really helped to have had that previous experience and then try and film Tom doing the keyboard and the singing, and yes, that really helped. With
and
that.
did you do? I haven't watched it yet, to be honest. Did you do everything live for that, or was he like lip syncing Glee style?
It was.
Like, what did you do?
It was all live. Some of the editing is that I'll use one track of the song and
this is definitely live broadcasting. Thank you very much. We have a parcel from Amazon. Not that we condone Amazon necessarily.
Or are anyway affiliated.
Exactly. Yeah, if they were sponsoring us, we wouldn't need crowdfunder, to be honest. Yeah, sorry, say that again. So it was all live?
Yeah, so it's all, we recorded the song like a few times. Obviously when I did it with you, we already had the track, and we used the track, and you either sang or lip synced, and then I used that main track. But with Tom, I stitched together bits of different sounds from different tracks, which was really quite hard, but a really good learning experience.
Yeah,
so,
and then syncing it up must be really tiring.
But he was surprisingly consistent, so you know it works.
Helpful.
Yes.
I guess if you've done a run of a show at Edinburgh, then it should be really kind of consistent already. Cool. Why don't we pick another one?
You want to pick one?
Yeah, go on, I'll pick one.
Oh, I've got a comment.
Oh.
I feel like you can see them on here, but I have to lean in. I think it's just the laughing face. Thank you.
I think they've just got the Amazon bit.
Yeah.
I suppose we've started to cover this already.
Oh, yeah, you can reject it if it's been done.
Let's see what else we've got. Oh, what is your favourite Anna Hester song? Ooh.
It's self-indulgent, but it is my favourite page, so.
An earlier one. In the Meantime.
Really?
I really love that track. I don't know why, it's always stuck with me, and occasionally I get it stuck in my head again. And I cannot explain to you precisely why, but it's so beautiful and gentle, and it just creeps in occasionally to my head. That is one of my favourite ones.
That's really cool, thank you. I really still like that one. I think it's funny when you've written something so long ago, it's easier to be like, oh, I like that, because it doesn't really feel like mine anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite an old version of Anna wrote that song. So.
I have to go with Watch the Clock because it's the one that comes into my head, and obviously the first music video we did together, and I was editing it when I'd gotten back to uni in second year, and things were a bit stressful, and it didn't feel like it did the year before. And so coming off the back of summer and having that, and I listened to it so many times, even when I wasn't editing it, and I just loved it, and I love the lyrics in it. And I think because with the video we went on such this personal journey with it, by looking through all your family things, that I don't know, it just sort of, I still connect with it so much.
That was a lovely thing when we were doing the video for A-Line. We just, because we had to listen to the song quite a lot, I mean, the stop motion was new to us, like, we hadn't done anything like that before, and trying to plan out the timing, we were listening to the song over and over and over again, which, for probably about a week, we were like, can't get this out of our head. And then after that week had passed, we just sort of sing it occasionally, like little bits of it in the house, while we were in the kitchen making food or something, you know. It would come back in and we just have a little sing-along. So that was really lovely, and I think I'll remember that, particularly because of the lockdown period. I felt like it was something pushing us forward.
Slowly going mad.
Thank you for giving us a project during that time, because I think we would be insane.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just so nice to me that you can still say you like those songs, because I think the reason I would really struggle to be a filmmaker or a producer or something is the listening over and over and over again. And that's what was really lovely, and one of the reasons I released that as a single was that Dan, the producer, was doing the same thing, listening over and over and over again. He was like, I've been listening to it more than I have to, and that's the sign that it's actually good and I like it. And I just thought that is amazing, because basically you get sick of something, so if you're still enjoying it, that's such a huge compliment. Because I get sick of my own songs. Like, definitely once I've released something, I want to put it to one side for a bit and then not listen for a while, because you can't hear it after. You just hear, I don't know what you hear the sort of bit of the mix you're trying to check, or maybe it's the same when you're watching something, that you just see all the bits you've done recently, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then some lines will start to sound weird, and they'll get stuck in your head like a bit of song, and they'll go over and over and over again. But I think it's usually those bits that while you're doing it, you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this bit. There'll be the bits that get stuck in your head, and you'll look back like a few months later or a few years later and be like, yeah, that was that bit, and maybe it didn't work so well, but I have fond memories of it now, and I think same for, well, with both of your songs, that I never hit a period of, I can't believe I have to listen to this again to get this bit done.
You have to say that to me.
But honestly, it didn't feel like that at all. It always just sort of felt like right, and I was always, because you work so hard, you get in this frame of mind where you're just like, I just need this to work and to match up and be how I want it to be. And so then the moment you achieve that, you're sort of so happy that all of the badness or like the worry about it goes away anyway. So it's always quite rewarding to look back on stuff like that.
Should we find another one? I love the background noise.
Oh, interesting question. How did you first meet each other?
How did you two first meet each other?
Well,
you can't tell.
we are sisters. Okay. But
Alice was born, and then Kate met her. Yeah.
And then I probably was too little when we first met you to remember meeting you at all. Like, sort of always known you, I guess.
Well, I feel that I'm the oldest out of us, and I feel the same, I think. I have vivid memories of being together, goodness me, how long ago? Like 15 years ago or something. But I couldn't say when we first met, and I think that's because my older brother and their older brother became friends when they were 5.
Yeah.
So
this has been a
kind of
very long
yeah,
time.
It's kind of like an extended family thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like we've always been in each other's lives. But what was really nice for me is that the age gap, at least between me and Alice, is quite big. So then it's been really nice, you guys growing up and then being like, oh, now we're all adults and can like work together and hang out together. Whereas it's that really strange thing when you're children and teenagers that there's a gap just means you're quite separate.
Yeah.
And now I can sort of live vicariously through my younger friends.
I don't think I'm that young.
Yeah, I don't think we're that good at being young, to be honest.
You're both much more mature than I am. So like, but also just like very mature, so I forget that there is an age gap ever. Yeah, so that's how we met.
Yeah.
Any more for any more?
I think another.
Yeah.
We do have some viewers, pretty amazingly. And also, we might get some viewers afterwards. Yeah, if you have any questions in the comments, then go for it. What have you got?
When did you first know that you wanted to be a filmmaker, a graphic designer?
You want to go first?
I will go first. I'm not going to lie, there was never a moment that I thought, this is it. So probably the closest I got was going around to universities and meeting the tutor. I looked at a few things, illustration. I definitely wanted to do something creative, visual creative. And I met the tutor for graphics at the uni I went to in Lincoln, and like, this guy is pretty cool, and he's saying some interesting things about the world. And that was pretty much the decision. I have to say, graphics was definitely the subject I hated least at school, which was always positive.
Did you do other art things at A-level or not?
I actually didn't do graphics at A-level. I did art. I did fine art. And history and English.
All useful?
Actually,
for like proofreading and stuff?
so much,
No language?
It's strange how much the other things have come into the graphics, because my favourite type of graphics is working with typography and things. So, yeah, all influence. So there was no moment, and there may never be a moment where I'm like, this is definitely what I want to do, but this is going well at the moment. It's fine.
Yeah, how about you, Alice?
I'm not sure. Again, it was around the same time. I remember as a kid watching so many behind-the-scenes videos, but it felt like such a far-away world that I didn't even put myself into it. I didn't think about myself making films or music videos or TV. And then I started going around unis to have a look, and not knowing what I wanted to do, so I would sort of go and have a look at a few things. And I walked into the TFTI at the University of York, and I just sort of, it was the first time that people really felt like engaged with me as someone who was unsure of what I wanted to do, but had some ideas and some excitement, and I just sort of went from there. And also, when I was doing my drama A-level, so when I did the written work, I kind of realised that I didn't really care what the actors were doing, because there was this one question about how you direct it instead, and I started obsessing over like the details of the lighting and how I thought the set would be and what I wanted the actors to do, but not feeling like I was putting myself in their place. And I sort of had that mental switch of, nope, I want to be behind the camera, I want to be off the stage rather than on it. And yeah.
And did you have any chance at school to do stuff with film?
I made a film for my art A-level, AS level, but that was, I didn't even think at that point that I was going to do anything with it, because I just was like, I'm bored of what I usually do, so I'd like to do something different. And I don't think it went down very well with my art teacher. I don't think he really understood why I wanted to do it. And I don't think I understood why I wanted to do it either, but I did do that. And then I worked on costume and makeup for our big school dance competition that we did, and that really sucked me in as well, because I got to play with sets and talk to the lighting teams and just be creative in a way that I'd never been allowed to before.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it, the movement from one thing to another and the crossover. And it's also just quite sad, like your art teacher not understanding why you want to make a film. I had a similar thing when I did AS music, and I composed a bit of film music for a film that didn't have any score. And I did all this sort of Mickey Mouse thing, is what you call it, right? When it's sort of the chromatic scale matches the tap turning on, it sort of imitates what you see, that kind of sound. But it was quite an easy piece to play, and I felt it matched the clip very well, and I sent in the clip with my composition to the examiner, which I totally understand now. They're probably not allowed to look at anything extra. But the grade was really low, and I felt like, oh, there's no space in this exam for my film music approach, or the fact that I've actually included the clip and thought about the clip. And I think it's so hard in the arts to make allowance for that, though.
Yeah, particularly at school. And we were talking about this earlier today, actually, about how restricting. We went around an art gallery, I went around the Tate, and it's a little grudge I think we've held the whole time since we've come out of school, that our art teacher, had we put this in front of our art teacher, the plastic bottles, or there would have had to have been some huge, incredible, descriptive reason that we just didn't have at the time for us to be allowed to produce anything like that. So yeah.
My art teacher almost had a thing about filling every bit of white space.
Yeah.
You think professional artists don't do that? Yeah. But I guess it's the pressure of you have to show all of your skills in one canvas or whatever.
And it's ticking boxes, not doing what you want to do.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, exactly.
Shall we do a couple more?
Yeah, go on.
And then,
How is making a music video different from other kinds of filmmaking?
We touched on it, but maybe you might want to say something else?
So like I said before, you've got this sort of, I guess the backbone to whatever you're doing is already in front of you, which is great because you've automatically got some inspiration. You're not plucking things out of thin air. You can sort of brainstorm with people because we're all hearing it and we're all coming up with different ideas. So that it's always a bit more sort of easier to get going. And then when you're filming, you need to be mindful of the song. You need to be making sure that you're making everything in time. I also think it allows you to be a little bit more creative sometimes because it doesn't need to be linear. It doesn't need to have this direct narrative, although a lot of them do. You can just sort of express what you want to express with the song and reflect it in the music video, or go on a totally different path so you open up the song even more.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely very fun, and I really have enjoyed doing music videos with you. And yeah, I think it's the surrealist version of film, and in some ways.
Yeah.
One of the bits that I really enjoyed while we were doing this, because I haven't actually really had a chance to see Alice work behind the scenes before, but the amount of technical knowledge and maths and adding up that's going on, particularly I suppose this is true of stop frame maybe more than your
with frames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of like photographing a sequence, making sure that sequence was long enough, and then I still really don't understand the technical bit, but I know that there was a lot of maths and checking and cross-checking, and then you would do like a sequence, and then you edit that sequence and make sure that it was correct, and take out any duff photos, because it's a lot of duff photos, with like my hands still in.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of that extra stuff going on in the background as well.
And I would actually say that yes, we have to be very precise with the music videos, and you do, so the song matches, and especially if you've got someone lip syncing or whatever. But actually, I think there's just different things that you have to be precise about in different things. So obviously with the A-line video, that was okay. How many frames do we need to move the sun from one side of the page to the other, and how do we do that so that it grows just as we hit that word? And it took me a lot of listening to the song and breaking down the seconds, and then breaking the seconds breaking the seconds down into frames. So that was quite complex, and like Kate said, we've never done stop motion before, so that in itself was a challenge. But yeah, I think it's a different way of being precise, because so when I'm doing regular filmmaking, and as with the music video as well, you have lighting to consider, and like so for the music video we had a setup in Kate's room, which was this table, two massive LED lights that we'd had to sort of balance out. One of them was tucked into a drawer so it wouldn't fall over.
So glamorous.
Technical stuff.
We had the camera tilted like all the way down so it was vertical, and it was it's just being precise about your setup, and then keeping it still for 3 days or however long it was, 5 days.
I was so impressed because I'm just picturing it in this small room, and then it just it looks so amazing. And I guess that's the point. It's paying attention to detail with the lighting and with the quality of the photos and all of that. And I guess the one thing you don't then have to do is have a big boom mic and do the sound, because the sound is there,
which I was relieved about. And you the editing process. When you're editing something like say the Edinburgh Fringe show, sometimes you can move stuff around, or you're cutting things. But in this, we already had everything that we needed, so it was just dragging and dropping and stitching and making sure that transitions into that part well. And so I mean, actual shooting took us 5 or 6 days, but the editing took me 2 days, which for the amount of photos and footage we had, that's actually really quick.
That's really quick.
I've noticed since we started talking about the video that and I don't know why we've done this, but the Align video we have been referring to as A-Line.
Yes.
And I don't know why we put the emphasis on there, because we heard the song and we know exactly what you mean.
I think it's
but
because
it is
we had it
something.
written down so often, and it's a line, but my brain's automatically going A-line, like A-line skirt.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
it's because it's written rather than...
But
I think
also
that's how
because-
A-line skirt is spelled. And I had
Yeah.
this problem with a radio DJ was asking me how to pronounce it or announcing it as A-line, and I sort of thought, yeah, I should just think about that before I title the song. So you don't want it to be ambiguous. Maybe you do, maybe it makes it fun,
Yeah.
whatever.
But no, I think the other reason possibly is because it's a capital A and it's because it's your video. My brain's kind of half like Alice line.
Yeah. My partner calls me A, so there you go. It's A's line.
Alice line.
Yeah.
Shall I pick another?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do one more at least.
Okay, let's see what we've got. Oh,
And you pick two.
I picked two. Which one would you like to answer?
Oh, that's hard.
What's your favourite word?
Okay,
Yeah.
I stole that one from another interview, but I can explain
Yeah, go
where.
on.
I was on a podcast called Behind the Folk, which you should check out on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. And I don't think Ed will mind because he stole the questions from inside the actor studio.
Nice.
But
Lots of sharing going on.
yeah, it's interviews with various folk musicians, and the questions were really interesting because it was like, what's your favourite word? What's your least favourite word? But I really liked that question, and I found it really hard, and I wondered if you guys had any thoughts.
I mean, when I'm thinking of words that I like or dislike, it's always the sound of them.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Me too.
You know, I'm not one for meaning. As it were.
It's all empty.
Yeah, very superficial.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that's superficial. I think being interested in sound is kind of deeper than a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people tune into sound like that.
It's really interesting though because I would probably say the same thing about choosing a word. However, I also have to look at words written down a lot. And so I look at words in terms of how they look on a page or in a setting or with a capital or without a capital. So there's something really satisfying about Anna because it's a palindrome. But yeah, it's interesting that you would go for sound. I think mostly I'd go for sound. I can't think of a word. I'm trying to think of words.
But yeah, but sound and visuals, because that's what's interesting. That I think that's more important than the meaning, like the aesthetics of the word. Like, you should guess what mine is, because I think you might both know this. I think we talked about it. It's something like quite graphic designy, but also it sounds good.
Oh, it's I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
the A.
Oh, the ampersand.
Ampersand.
Yeah, ampersand
that's
is a
lovely.
lovely
What I
word.
realised about the word is that it's like phonetically really balanced. So obviously you have a and then but the M and the P are both bilabial, you make them with your lips, and the N and the D are both veolar, you make it with your like your tongue against your teeth. And so it just has this like unity about it, which
That
is
is
really cool.
lovely.
But I feel like it also looks good written down, and obviously the symbol and
We were
whatever.
talking about a word the other day, and you might remember what it is, but it was a word that involves basically every version of C and how you might pronounce a C.
Cool.
Oh, I remember talking about it, but I don't remember what it was. Was it cyclical?
Maybe it was cyclical.
No, I don't think it was cyclical. It was.
It's something like that,
yeah,
where
yeah.
essentially you end up with this cup, C, all the different variations of it. That's quite a satisfying idea to have all the ways of. I'm sure you probably get a word with S's as well, and all the ways you can say it.
That's cool.
We're actually we do this quite a lot in our family. We'll go like, oh, that's a nice word, and then we'll all say it again. And we did it today in the car, and so that's the word that's going around my head at the moment. It's perpendicular.
That is a
Oh,
nice
that's a
word.
good word.
That's got a real cadence about it, hasn't it? It feels like it's sort of got a flourish at the end.
And it feels like you're covering a lot of sounds in a very short space, and you've got the plosives and
Like a sort of vocal warm up in a word.
yeah.
Perpendicular.
But it's sort of a strong word, like it's a definite perpendicular. You kind of
It's
have
very
like
descriptive of what it is.
yeah.
One more, and then
Go on,
I'll let
what
you
was the other
lovely
one you
people
pulled
go.
What was your favourite thing about making a video for a line?
I feel like we've talked about that, but you go for it.
Oh, no.
The other one is what was the hardest thing. Maybe give us both of those. And then we can finish by urging people to watch the video.
Yeah. Go and watch the video. My favourite bit was probably on either the first or second day of sort of actual physically getting everything together. And it's the little stamp of your face that we made.
So you didn't tell me you were going to do that.
No.
That was really cool.
Slip that in. Because we used the style of your grandfather's drawing.
It was very effective.
And that was really nice as well to connect with that on a different level. But it was just a lovely little, what do you call it when you put something in?
Easter egg?
Easter egg. For me anyway, I enjoyed just a little stamp with your face. Yeah, that was my favourite bit of the video.
Could you use that on the album somehow?
Yeah, we can do it.
Maybe just that next to the copyright bit or something. It's like a picture of the Queen, but no, it's me.
I just forward think this, and I drew it a larger size and scanned it in.
You're amazing.
But that and the envelope as a whole, like also the bit where the envelope turns over was probably the most satisfying. It was very difficult to shoot.
Well, I didn't get not in the end. We thought it was going to be, and it was a bit frustrating because if you had one bit of blue tack, we'd like take the photo and be like, you can see the blue tack.
Everything was like lent up on something, so there's always something underneath apart from the one shot where it's vertical, at which point I just balanced it for as long as possible, and then you took the photo
at high speed shutter, and
but it was so satisfying to watch afterwards.
And it didn't take that. Oh, do you know what the hardest bit was? Tying a bow.
Oh my god!
Honestly,
we watched a YouTube video on how to do the perfect bow.
we couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it. It took, I think, so that was the very first shot we had to take, and I think it took us about 2 hours.
Oh my goodness, it looks beautiful though.
And I'm so because I actually reversed the opening sequence. And I'm so glad I could do that because I would have been devastated if we had to tie another bow.
Yeah. And it was much easier. There was obviously, so one of the things you had to do a lot of planning into was which bits we shot forwards and which bits we shot backwards. So a lot of things we had to shoot backwards, and then so we'd shoot one section backwards and then we'd reset and then shoot a section forward. So all of the drawing and all of the illustrations and the moving pieces of paper, that all happens forward. But then all of the, is it the first section that happens backwards?
Yeah, the first section, and any time you see paper unfurling,
oh god, yeah,
it was actually curled up, and that was hard.
Particularly because we had to go backwards and then forward, so we had duplicates of certain things. And anytime you introduce duplicates, it's a bit like too much, too many things, and trying to position things, and that was a difficult thing, trying to position things exactly in the same place. So there's, I mean, the style kind of allows for a little bit of tiny giggle, but you still have to be quite precise for it to just be a tiny bit of
because it flows so well, and I guess that's the point, that if something was a little bit out of place, it would just have a jarring moment, which you wouldn't expect unless it's there. You don't notice don't notice something being good. That's the sad truth, isn't it? People will watch it and think it's really good, but they won't necessarily realise how many ways it could have been less fluid.
And kind of my favourite bit though, this was hard because we were copying your kind of drawing, and there's a moment where they sort of start to fill out the page in different areas, and so I was drawing a line on each every time, but my favourite one to draw was the picture of your mum as a little girl at the table, and we adapted it a little bit from the drawing, but I don't know why, there was something about drawing her hair, and then when I drew on you on the top of the envelope, drawing the people in it was just really nice, and watching them, like, completing them. And that was.
I mean, they just look so similar. So what we haven't really explained is that the illustrations came from a family letter we found from years ago. My grandfather was an artist, and the illustrations were taken, but I just assumed you'd like trace them, but the fact that you basically copied them perfectly is just astounding to me.
We did think early on that we would try and trace them, or sort of
transfer them somehow.
But because some things were happening forwards and some things were happening backwards, and because we were having to do everything in ink, it would have taken much longer for us to transfer by pencil and then go over with ink.
And on coloured paper it didn't always work anyway.
Yeah, because basically none of it's digital, right? It was all filming
None
paper.
of it's digital. None of it's digital.
You sad about that?
None of it's digital. No.
My skills were not needed.
The pressure, like I haven't had, because I always, even things that are done by hand these days get transferred to computer before
Or things
they're
that look like they're by hand are sometimes painted like on an iPad or something.
exactly. But the pressure when because it was the height of lockdown, we only had a certain amount of yellow paper and we only had 2 envelopes to work with. So something going wrong in one of those drawn stages would have been incredibly difficult to deal with.
It would have basically meant starting again.
Yeah. So it was a lot of pressure, but I think it went well.
Yeah, I mean, did we want to kill each other afterwards? A little bit.
Yes.
But that was just, it was, we did it when it was like 30-degree weather.
Yeah.
And to make it work, we had to have the blackout caps on, so it was
Yeah.
incredibly hot in that room, and I think it was, there were moments for Denver that I wanted to kill.
But it was quite nice though,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
in the end, and I think
We
like
enjoyed
when you
working
do end
together.
up working with someone that closely for a bit, you do go a bit loopy.
Yeah.
And there's moments of like extreme frustration, but they almost always end up in weird fits of laughter.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everyone could work with their siblings like that.
No.
I don't know if you would answer this on film or not, but like, would you do a similar project again together, or do you think it would be so many factors about whether it would be a collaboration for you?
I think I would definitely do it again.
Yeah.
I think part of the difficulty was because we were so limited in what we could do because it was lockdown, and it was at the point where people weren't really going outside unless it was exercise. So we were very limited in options of things that we could do. I think even if we had to do a stop frame animation again, that we would be able to get a lot more of the resources that we wanted to have a lot easier. I think it would be a lot less pressure in certain ways because of that. And I also think that maybe we could find ourselves a room somewhere where we weren't on top of each other. I mean, we were literally on top of each other.
Ideally, we would have been able to book a room somewhere so that we could. I think another
Leave stuff set.
Yeah. Which we did, which meant I was crawling on the floor to my bed. But it was good fun. It was good fun.
And it's always hard, and I've done that so many times at uni, is you end up filming in your own room or something, and then you can't separate your... But that's just the nature of the beast that we're working
I think that was lockdown for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, working at the same table you're eating at and all of that sort of thing.
And it doesn't feel very healthy or not, especially for Kate. I mean, I got to go back to my room at night, and I was fine.
But what you're saying is that you would work with me.
I would work, The main challenge wasn't working together, it was the lockdown situation. And obviously, it would have been so much better if we could have all sort of sat down around one table and been like,
you either. And so everything was done over the phone and Zoom and things, which is great, but it's usually nice to sit down, have a drink, think things through, throw some ideas out there, but it was very, very different from how it would normally be. But no, I think it was still fun, and you would work with me.
I would absolutely.
I guess it also helps that we knew each other, because what I've noticed with this remote working is it's maybe more awkward or nerve-wracking doing Zoom and online communications with a new client or a new colleague or whatever, whereas at least we might find it weird being on Zoom, but we've been around each other in real life enough.
And we can always start the conversation with, normal conversation. You don't have to launch into it straight away, and I think that's always very jarring, is when you go onto a Zoom call and it's immediately business. But, usually if we'd see each other at the office, we would have probably said, good morning, and
have a cup of tea.
It's different.
It is.
It cuts out the human side of it a little bit.
But that's what I really loved about the video, was that I was originally thinking of having a lyric video, and we got something so much more complex and organic and meaningful, and it felt kind of a bit anti-lockdown in a way, because obviously we were planning it in a digital way, but as you say, everything was paper and pen and table and stuff.
Yeah.
And that felt, I don't know, quite resistant in a nice way.
Yeah.
It was very like old-fashioned materials, which fits the postcard thing as well, I suppose.
And it's nice working with practical materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even though we have such amazing CGI now, and it's incredible, and I wouldn't get rid of it, I think, and it definitely has its place. When you go around sets, and like, you know, you've got like the Harry Potter studio tour, people want to be able to feel like they can reach out and touch it. And so I love practical effects, and so being able to do something like we could really get our hands on, and you know, it was so much more down to us and our skill, and human error is a part of that. It was nice.
So one final question then. My songs on my album are all about postcards, and I really like sending postcards, receiving postcards, stuff that's handwritten. Do you still like doing that yourselves, or are you proper digital creatures?
No, I love postcards. I have a block, which are very few now, of David Bowie.
Cool. Because you did a whole
postcards.
project on Bowie, didn't you?
Yeah, back at uni. And it's the Spectrum of DNA. It's a really nice set. If you like David Bowie, I recommend it. But whenever I want to send a message, like in my last job when I left, I gave everyone, because I kind of become associated with my obsession over David Bowie, but I left everyone a handwritten card, a David Bowie postcard. So and actually I still get a lot, usually hand delivered rather than via the post, but I have friends that will send me one on my birthday, and I've probably got about 5 or 6 in my desk at the moment. One of them is from you saying thank you.
But it's the postcard that the video is based on, the song is based on,
that I keep, that have really lovely messages from people, and they're actually really important to me, and they're all postcards. Yeah.
I am actually a very digital person, but funnily enough, recently, so my best friend has a niece who is 6, and she wrote me a letter, I think it must have been back in like April or May, and so I have been corresponding with her through written letters, and I actually have, because I haven't been able to see her for 3 weeks, I've got like a little pile of 3 letters to give her, and we'll like do drawings on them, and just
really nice drawings. There's some great drawings coming.
Don't spoil it.
I won't.
But that has been so nice, and it's so nice because obviously like I don't get to see her very often, and you know there's a big age difference between us. So just sitting down and being able to write, what's your favourite colour? And what's your favourite animal? And getting to know someone like that is so nice. And like it's when I sit down to write one of those letters, it's just a moment of absolute peace. And yeah, so I have really enjoyed that. And I'm really hoping that I can keep writing her letters even after lockdown.
Oh, I bet you're tied in now. I bet you're That's really lovely. That's a really lovely place to stop. So yeah, thank you for being here and chatting. And it's really weird to see you in real life.
It is.
And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to be updating on social media, on the crowdfunding page and stuff. But yeah, just expect to see more of these guys' amazing work. And yeah, I don't know how you end these things without being awkward.
So long.
Nope.
But let's try and do that.